I'm somebody that really likes driving, but I never really liked racing games that much. I've always played racing games with a traditional controller, or at least tried to, and I just never really saw the appeal personally. From time to time, I've considered getting one of those steering wheel controllers, but I never really bit the bullet on any of those. This is when the folks over at DOYO reached out to me about their own steering wheel, and I'm here to review it today. So with that said, introducing the DOYO R270. This is driving me crazy, but in a good way, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Before we continue, don't forget that I have a Twitch channel that you can go ahead and follow me on for live microphone reviews and much more than that. But you're also going to find my Instagram and a link to the Tech Summit Discord in the description. So come join the community because it is a pretty cool one. We've also opened up a Patreon as of late where if you join, you'll be automatically entered to win one tech gadget every month in our exclusive giveaways. Details to that are going to be down below. Don't forget to check out the description for everything. Now let's get right into the video. So let's begin with an unboxing. It does come in a pretty large box with a handle on top. Inside, you will find the pedals and then the steering wheel and some instructions to set this up properly. That's really about it here, so let's go ahead and talk about the design of this entire package. The exterior design consists of plastic for the entirety of this build. And that goes for the steering wheel portion and the pedals. The steering wheel part itself has some grips on the sides, but it does have an entire controller built right into it, with every button that you would expect out of an Xbox controller, for instance. And those are all going to be on the very front for you, very accessible. And there's also going to be the gear shift, at least as I know it, right on the side. This system should be mounted onto your desk, by the way, through the clamping system on the bottom and attached just like so. And afterwards, this setup is really sturdy and won't flop around when using it, which is pretty cool. Now the pedals are made out of that same plastic that I mentioned earlier, and it features a brake and a gas pedal. This connects over USB directly onto the steering wheel through one of its two USB ports, and you can actually connect a separate controller to this as well if you want to. Now this all connects over USB 3.0 cable onto your PC, Switch, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One, and the like. Though as of now, at least as far as I know, there's no official support for the Xbox Series X and S or the PlayStation 5, so do keep that in mind, but it probably does still work. Now the buttons layout does resemble that of the Xbox controller, so just remember the buttons placement when you play on other systems. But once it is connected, it will immediately be registered as a controller. And the setup process here is going to be incredibly simple. If you're playing your racing games on Steam, and then you will have immediate compatibility since I plugged this in and did not need to do anything else. It works just as intended by default, so it is a very simple setup. I mean, if you're just a casual user that feels intimidated by the look of this, don't be intimidated at all. It's just plug it and then play from there. And so I bought Forza Horizon 4 on Steam so that I can test it out, this steering wheel, properly. Again, everything was already set up for me right off the bat, and after spending some time using this to play racing games, I've gotten pretty used to it, honestly. And now knowing how to drive does also help with the basics, of course. So the wheel does seem to have a spring that allows for you to easily turn that, and it bounces right back into place when you let go. And it does have a pretty good amount of precision and responsiveness, in my opinion. I was definitely crashing a lot at first because I'm not used to using one of these, and because there does seem to be some kind of delay also between when you start to turn the wheel and when the car actually starts to turn in the game, and that was very noticeable on my end. But it's something that I did end up adjusting to pretty quickly. Just start to turn a little bit more slowly before making it to the point where you should be turning in order to nail it without issues. However, I had to give some pretty huge props to the pedals at the bottom, since I felt like I was in control of my speed the entire time. I could go pretty easily at around 25 miles per hour if I really wanted to, But that's clearly too slow for this game, since I'd argue that somewhere between 55 and 60 is actually the standard speed if you really want to feel like you're actually moving and going somewhere. And the brake pedal also acts as the reverse pedal, and I actually quite like that. I like how responsive it is overall. One of my favorite things about this wheel, in fact, is also that it has haptic feedback. If you're running on, let's say, just like rougher terrain or hitting something, the wheel will begin to vibrate accordingly. So it's going to vibrate pretty harshly if you're hitting something pretty hard, and it's just going to vibrate lightly if you're just like on light terrain and things like that. I love that I can detect these things so well. So this was handled surprisingly well, and I will definitely be using this more often, and this might have even been the push that I needed in order to get into racing games. So now what I have to say here for this kit are genuinely not really complaints, more so just things that I would like to see fixed in the future, some things that I think could have helped me with my own gaming experience. For example, I would like to see stronger materials being used for this wheel in the future, even if it does mean having to pay more, and just the body in general, since it would help in adding more weight and to making it easier to control. And speaking of controls, I do wish that the gas pedal had a little bit more resistance to it, so that it's not too easy to accidentally press it too far down and speeding up too much. And not to mention that a better build would benefit this greatly, since you're stepping on it so often as well. So please just try to keep those things into consideration for your next model. But that's really it. This is my first time actually using one of these for an extended period of time, and I thought that it was a really fun experience. I'm curious to see how DOYO improves on the R270 model moving forward, but I would really love to test it if there's an upgrade in the future as well. This one, the R270, is very affordable in comparison to other options and does work incredibly well too. So if you wanted to dip your toes into getting a setup like this to see if you'd end up liking something like this, then this is a fantastic starting point. So yeah, strongly recommended from a complete novice here. And if you're interested in purchasing this steering wheel, the R270, then I will be making sure to leave affiliate links down to Amazon in the description. And there's also going to be a link to ABUNDA in case you would rather finance something like this. It does not require a credit card of your own whatsoever. It's just going to be a really simple and easy to use service. So strongly recommended. The links to that down below. And there's also going to be Luster if you need help shopping around for other kinds of alternatives to this too, in case of anything. And it even helps you find sales, which I think is super awesome. So all of these links are going to be down below, and if you use any of them, I would appreciate that quite a lot, since I do get a small commission and the channel would very much appreciate it. I would also like to give a very special thanks to all of our patrons here, which for the tier 3s are going to be Joma, Saad, Alzal, and Omar. Thank you so much for all of your support, because it really does go a very long way. And now onto the rest of the tier 2s coming right up. And this is super important. I would just like to give a very special thanks to all of our patrons, which are going to be listed right here on the screen. Again, a massive thanks to you all for supporting us to help us create the kind of content that we bring to you on a day-to-day basis. And thank you so much for supporting the Tech Summit podcast as well. And just remember that if you would like to be a part of this community too, and then do make sure to check out the links to our Patreon, where you don't only get bonus episodes of our podcast, but you also get automatically entered into one of our monthly giveaways of a tech product that we have reviewed that is of at least $50 in value or higher. So links to that down below. And now don't forget to follow me on the rest of my social media, such as my Instagram and my Twitch, where I do stream fairly often. So with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be seeing you all later. Enjoy.